Hello, and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper podcast. This morning, I'm going to have a coffee with you. It's morning here in Australia, and I am sitting having my coffee, and I was just responding to a beautiful VIP client who's been with us, oh my goodness, feels like forever, and by text message. And I thought I would jump on and do a podcast relating to a few things, okay? So when I'm recording this, we've done our annual price rise, right? Which is always a little daunting for bookkeepers. And so it kind of should be, and so it shouldn't be. Where it gets daunting is that, it is a time where we kind of go, we want more money. And our clients don't want to give anyone more money, right? And often, realistically, we're saying, I want more money, but I'm not giving you any extra, right? We're just doing a CPI price rise, which is normal, right? And natural and needed. But as clients, and even as consumers and customers ourselves, we're always going to be wanting to know, well, what's in it for me? If you're charging me more, I don't care about CPI. What I care about is, what's in it for me? What's the value I'm getting? So I'm going to connect today's podcast to that. I'm going to connect it with how to stack your value. I'm absolutely going to tell you a little bit more about what's in the program, okay? So if you are listening to this podcast, the program has launched and it's live, but it doesn't mean it's too late to jump in, okay? So we have a way to bring you in and get you going. And so I'm not going to tell you absolutely everything that's inside this episode. What I will tell you is that I'm going to give you ways to do better in business, okay? Ways to thrive in practice. So with that little hint of what's inside, let's jump in. I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, speaker, trainer and coach. After 13 years in practice and after scaling into a lifestyle business where I could choose my own adventure, I'm sharing my secrets to success, my secret sauce recipe on how to build a thriving practice, delight your clients and ultimately live your dream on your terms. This podcast is a companion to my book. In each weekly episode, I'll share strategies for scaling and success. This is your time to shine, to step up, to become a strategic bookkeeper and enjoy all the benefits it brings to you and your clients. Okay, so I'll start by talking to you about what I was just doing. So we've just done our annual price rise, and I'll always say to you that 80% of your clients should definitely just be accepting it and happy enough with it. And 20% you'll sometimes get pushback, and sometimes it's a time where you'll be kind of cleaning things out, right? So occasionally a client or two might offboard. Look, for us, definitely we want quality over quantity. And that said, we want to retain the clients that we want to retain for sure, okay? Now, even with the 80%, what I would encourage you to do is find ways you can add value, give value, or podcast interruption. Just to let you know, if you did not join the program when the doors open on August 1, and they opened for 14 days before my team and I rocked up live, it doesn't mean that you can't join in. The program is evergreen. Okay, so we have a way to bring you into the program seamlessly, beautifully, so that you can absolutely start working with me to build your thriving practice, delight your clients, and live your dream on your terms. If you are keen to know how that works, just drop us an email or ask in the private Facebook group. I'm always really grateful for that because then I can help the many as well as the one. Or simply use the link that will drop in the show notes or go to the website, pretty easy, and jump into the program because two things. Number one, it comes with a money back guarantee, or let's say three things. Number two, I do not get you to spend extra time working with me. This is about on the job. Yes, I've done other podcasts on that. And number 3, that money back guarantee, it kicks in after a year, but my expectation is to help you get the ROI really early, yeah, so that pays for the program. But yes, we're going to spend a year together. So back to the podcast. Remind your VIP clients of the value that they might just not be noticing. And just to remind you, value is not about features and functions. Value is about benefits and outcomes, okay? So one of our beautiful VIPs, I just love working with him. I don't get to see him that often anymore, right? Because my team takes care of things in the practice. But eons ago, it was me and I was working with him. And as I've said before, our retention has gone from good to great over the years, and I'll connect that to the program. So when I was building out the program, I look at what I'm doing and I get to look forensically at the different moving parts that influence retention as well as find and onboard without price as a priority, right? Because we want to find, onboard and retain clients without price as a priority. And actually, when I was building out the program, even though I already knew this, it struck me more that in terms of retention without price as a priority, we set our clients up for that from the very beginning of the customer journey when they are prospective clients. Okay, so the customer journey in depth is something that I go through with you in the program. Okay, so it's one of the first things you do is I help you fully understand what I call part 1 of the customer journey. So somebody is in the market, like you could serve them, right through to being in your brand sphere and making an inquiry. Okay, so that's part 1. And then part 2 is after we've onboarded them. Okay, and there's actually a roundabout, I call it, between part 1 and part 2. That's what we call them in Australia. Where you're on the road and there's like a little fork in the road almost, like you get to a spot where you can go a few different ways. Well, I call the junction between customer journey part 1 and part 2 a roundabout. That's what we call them in Australia for sure. And I call it that because actually after they onboard, there's a part of the customer journey called buyer's remorse. And the way that we manage or actually eliminate buyer's remorse at that roundabout, at that junction, or let's call it the rest stop. The rest stop is probably a better word for it. So the client says go, they press go, and they're at the rest stop. That little rest stop, is either going to be somewhere that makes them feel great and amazing and eliminates buyer's remorse, or without you knowing it, because I can tell you right now, when you look at my customer journey, you are going to be like, holy cow, I didn't kind of know all that, right? And this is customer journey, not just generally. This is customer journey for you in your bookkeeping practice. So at that rest stop, without you knowing it, they might feel alone and all these other things. And it's the feelings and the experience at the rest stop that is one of the moving parts that influences retention without price as priority, that influences relationship. Okay, so from the moment that, from early days when it's market and when they first get exposure to your brand, that is the beginning of how we build out all the different things for the customer, including the ability to retain them, without price as a priority. And I bet you never thought of it that way. So it starts right at the beginning, and then it continues, okay? So continuing on, we're talking about price rise and value and the experience I just had. This particular VIP client, when we sent out the price rise, he he had a conversation with us. So he was one of like the 20% that kind of said, I don't know, because, you know, so 20% there might be a, can we talk about this? So he had a chat to us about his situation, and his situation had changed a little bit. He found that his wife, who's now a mama with a 1-year-old, is able to kind of handle the day-to-day bookkeeping. So what we did is we definitely had a conversation right then. We pivoted to offering him up one of our DIY bookkeeper support packages, okay? And that we charge a really good monthly fee for that. By good monthly fee, I mean that we charge a fee that allows us to run a thriving practice, right? So we charge a fee for service that is viable for us to be highly profitable, while also serving the client in a way that makes them delighted with the outcomes and the benefits they get, which means that we retain them long term, and also that we can pull the income and lifestyle out that we want and deserve. And so what I want to impress upon you here is that the fee we charge for that DIY bookkeeper support package, it is a productized service full of benefits and outcomes, not just features and functions. Okay, and we're going to talk about one of the benefits and outcomes now. And just to connect that to the program for a minute, you do get my entire suite of productized services and how to use them, and we'll help you with hourly to outcome billing as well, and all the other things, okay? So in this case, we created a DIY bookkeeper support package, had a chat to the client. He said, that sounds really good. And then we sent that via Ignition software, okay? We did our normal conversion process, which you can read about in the book. And when I did the video sales letter for him, so in the program, I help you create really quickly and easily a 3-part video sales letter and stitch it together. So I created a video sales letter and stitched it to my static video sales letter. So in the program, I help you create what's called a static video sales letter. That means it's a pre-recorded video sales letter that stacks the value of your competitive advantage, etc., using a done for you brochure, which is like 14 years in the making, conservatively worth $20,000 alone. Okay, so then what I do is I create a little bespoke video that explains the proposal and just in a really lovely way chats to the client, okay, or the prospective client. So when I did that bespoke individual part of the video sales letter, I went through the productized service to remind my client of all the value and the benefits. So I went through, what I do is in Ignition, I look at the client view of the proposal, and then I walk my client through in a video the various things within the productized service, okay? So exactly what I put in there, you absolutely get full access to and training in the transformation program. So going through all of that with the client, reminding him of these benefits and outcomes rather than the features and the functions, because the features and the functions, every bookkeeper's offering them, okay? That doesn't give me a point of difference, really, a lot of selling points or competitive advantage, but the outcomes and the benefits do. So I ran through them, and one of them I tell you about in the book, and that is like I offer every one of my VIPs a 90-minute planning session annually, okay? So I said, don't forget, you get your 90-minute annual planning session. That is conservatively valued at $1,000, right? And so went through and I said, I'd love to book that in with you. These days I do them on Zoom. Because I remembered the last one I did with him, I went out to his office. I said, I'd do them on Zoom. Be great to book that in, and et cetera, finish the conversion process and sent it off. And so I noticed last night I had a text message from that client, and I thought I'll check it in the morning when I'm at my desk, and I did. And I will read that to you in a moment. And so the client ultimately, to jump ahead for a minute, has gone from someone that just wasn't sure that they wanted to continue on because of the price rise. And you are going to get these, okay, from time to time, especially given we can charge a premium, okay? So our clients are prepared to pay a premium for us. So they want to make sure that they're getting really great value, outcomes, benefits, okay? And occasionally we need to remind them of that, okay? So I got a message from the client and it said, hi Jeannie, I have just signed the DIY proposal. Sorry for the delay. Actually haven't had a 90-minute strategy session since you visited in December 21. So yes, we would love to organise that soon. To get back on track, we have 2 staff leaving and looking at employing an apprentice in the next few weeks. Parenthood has been really hard, but is getting more fun as he is growing up, turns 1 this week. Thanks, client name. So, as you can imagine, I knew that they'd had a child in the last year, and of course I'm interested in that. I love all this stuff. So when I did the video sales letter, I just said, at the end, I hope you're enjoying parenthood, because I've been there for so many years and watched everything evolve, right? So that's why there's that comment in there. But if you look at that text message, so he's seen and felt the value. Nobody else is offering that, yeah? He's not going to be comparing me to others. The fee we charge for a DIY package, like I said, it's a lot more than most bookkeepers out there would think they could charge. Why is that? Do we charge for hours here at my bookkeeping practice? Does a strategic bookkeeper charge for her time? Does she charge or he charge for hours? We don't sell hours, yeah? A strategic bookkeeper sells outcomes, yeah? So the profitability that we will make on a DIY package could be the same as what we made on a end-to-end bookkeeping package. I'm not sure. I'm not in charge of that right now. I do see the critical drivers of profit and the metrics when we do our virtual CFO process internally, because we like to do exactly what we ask our clients to do. But what I'm saying is that productized service is built for a profitable practice first, okay? Just like putting your oxygen mask on, we can't serve our clients unless we've taken care of ourselves as well. It needs to be a win-win. So stacking the value of that service retained that client with a productized service that serves us as well as him. Yeah, I think that client has probably been with us now for, it could be near on a decade. I'd have to have a look. So you can see our retention is really, really good. So now I'd like to talk about key takeaways, the things that I'd like you to take away from this, okay, so that you can think about the action that you are going to take, all right? So in terms of that particular client, if I showed you how to do that in the program, if I helped you with that productized service alone, that would, in terms of return on investment, I want to be really clear, that would actually give you over 60% of the program fee back immediately. Okay, so I love to talk real numbers, real return on investment. Yeah, so the revenue you would generate from that one client, yeah, and remember this is an example of the kind of results we're getting overall. So the revenue you would generate from that one client and our beautiful DIY bookkeeper support productized service, yeah, and how to make it all work would be more than 60% of what the program fee is, which means if you did that twice, then your return on investment has now exceeded the program fee, okay? And that is the tiniest example that I can give you. So that key takeaway is if you're thinking about the program and you're worried about, will I get enough out of it? That's an example. All right, I could give you a million examples. I chuckle a little bit because I know, I look at what's inside the program every day, and I tell you what's inside, but I see the finite detail. And so I know the value, and I chuckle a little bit because I know the fee compared to the value is a little bit hilarious, all right? And that's an example. Like if you did that twice, you're making more than the program fee, okay? And I was very excited the other day. I was talking to a bookkeeper, and she had been fence sitting a little bit on the program, and it was more of a mindset thing. She said to me, I'm once bitten, twice shy, you know, that she'd done stuff before and invested money, and she'd been let down. And I really gently and politely said, I get it. But we all have had relationships, yeah, whether they are romantic or business or otherwise, where we've been hurt and we have to make a decision as to whether we're going to take that baggage into the new relationship, yeah? And a little bit of it is unavoidable, but a lot of it, okay, life is 5% what happens to us and 95% our attitude to it. So I said, in terms of the program, I challenged this beautiful bookkeeper just to think for herself, yeah, and self-assess for herself whether the program was for her and whether she could leave that baggage behind. Because the other thing I said is, just like in my bookkeeping practice, I wouldn't proceed with a client in my practice that didn't trust me. So occasionally in my practice, I might, really occasionally, not often, but I'll get someone that goes on and on, a prospective client, about a bookkeeper who let them down, and they kind of say it in a way which, like, you know, you're guilty until proven innocent. And I don't proceed with those clients because one of our core values is trust. And unless PC is prepared to trust me, yeah, to be the expert, a bit like a doctor, right, then I don't find the relationship works. So I challenged this beautiful bookkeeper, and she said to me that that was the advice she needed to smash through that limiting belief and have that realization, yeah. And she said, I'm all in. I'm so excited. Let's do this, okay? And we talked about that return on investment. And once again, I chuckled because for me, what I know that I offer up, like the brochure alone, oh my goodness, getting a return on investment's easy. And then what I loved about that conversation with that bookkeeper is she said to me, now I've gone from, you know, this fear around the 1% idea that I might not get value to, oh my God, I get it. What was I thinking? I'm all in. And she said, I don't want to work with you just for one lap around the sun. I want a mentor and a coach and support forever. And I was like, yes, that's what we all need. We need support forever. So once you've finished your first lap around the sun, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I give you ways that we can continue to support you. Yeah, because that we all need somebody to support us. The other thing that she said, which I totally resonated with, is she said that she'd met, various bookkeepers and coaches and that kind of thing, but there was really no one that she looked at that was the caliber that she thought was really going to get her there. Whereas when she read my book and my podcast, she resonated so much that she could see I was of a caliber that I could get her there, right? Because I'm a bookkeeper who's been there, done that, yeah? So that's a big part of it. I've been there surrounded by people that I knew couldn't get me there, yeah? However, I would say that I have proven that I can get you there. Now, the key takeaway is the planning session that I talk about in the book, all right? So hopefully you've read the book. If you haven't, grab a copy, listen to the audio book, use the hardcover as a how-to that gets really worn in your bag and you write all over it. And lastly, successful business owners are educating themselves regularly. The more I've educated myself the last 4 years, and I have leaned in to give you more and bigger and better tested and measured stuff in the program, right? The more I've educated myself, the more I've become convinced of the value of educating ourselves as business owners, okay? So if this podcast resonated with you, listen to it. Again, I make all my content audio friendly. Everything in the program is designed with an additional piece of tech that makes it audio friendly, as well as giving you the backup videos and resources, etc., in a full training portal in an academy. So that would be my last key takeaway, is to educate yourself. Please do use the book and the podcast. And the program is yet another form of education. Okay, so it's education, assets, implementation, team, one of my favorite parts, and support. Okay, if you express interest in the program, you're going to get more information on that, and there is a podcast on the program, so you can look for that in the episodes. Go forth and thrive in practice, my lovelies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a question you'd like answered on my podcast, please email me, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Did you know we have a private Facebook group called the Strategic Bookkeeper's Way? There you'll find bookkeepers just like you on the same journey, where you can ask questions and get support. You can find more resources and how to work with me at thestrategicbookkeeper.global. All the links are in the show notes. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.